Thank you, good afternoon, or almost evening, is it? I have no idea at all what time of day it is. In fact, I don't even know what day it is now. Anyway, I want to talk about a few of our cars, and particularly this one. This car is very close to my heart, and it has been ever since we created it a number of years ago, in its original form. Stuart mentioned the SVR product up there. I want to talk about that, but have a good look at it. We've been test driving it with the journalists in the south of France over the past week. I'm not allowed to tell you how it drives because it's embargoed into next week, but it's fantastic. It's absolutely fabulous. It's a rocket ship and it really drives nimbly, but I said it, none of you, so I can do. But I love that car, it's great to drive, it feels more like a sports car than an SUV, so I think you'll find that out for yourselves when you get a chance to drive it. Oops, that's all wrong. Sorry. Apologies. Right. But just before we get into the XE, let's talk about the I-Pace. The I-Pace is a phenomenal vehicle, and those of you who've driven it know that it's a phenomenal vehicle. It's really quite different from anything else that you can drive on the roads today. Not only does it look different, for obvious reasons, it's built up from first principles of an electric platform, but it really drives differently from anything else that we're used to. And if you do get a chance to drive it, you have to really experience it to understand it. I've driven one for 6 months now, and I've done about 7,000 or 8,000 miles on mine, and it is absolutely fabulous. I now drive an F-Type SVR, and you know what? They're on par. I mean, this is a 5-seater family SUV thing. The other things are a sports car, but in terms of performance, they're actually on par. It's been a fantastic vehicle. But the reason we put this up is just to mention that we had 60 worldwide awards now for this car, in various functions, various factions, various journalists, and including, of course, European Car of the Year. Now, I know tomorrow we've got World Car of the Year, but really European Car of the Year is the one that started all the Car of the Year awards. It's the big one. It's like winning an Oscar. And I have to say, when I went up to get the prize for this in Paris a few weeks ago, it was a moment that I will never forget. So the car was well worth it. It's fantastic. Tomorrow we're up in New York for potentially one of 3 prizes, the top 3 of the Green Car, Car of the Year, and of course, most important, Design of the Year as well. So fingers crossed, we'll get at least one of them, but we'll see. Okay, so we're here to focus on XE. A lot of people say to me, you know, do you enjoy doing facelifts? And I hate using that term, it sounds like almost an afterthought. But you know, I really do enjoy designing facelifts, because what happens with a car is you design it, you're very close to it, and it's a bit like getting to know a person. And once you see that car on the road for 3 or 4 years, you really start to understand this character you've created. Because when you're close up to it so much, you don't really see it. Just like people, really. And when you get to know them more, you can start to see what you can make better. You can't do that with people, of course, but you can do it with cars. And so we address this car in a way that we want to make a good car even better. And it is a facelift, but we've done quite a lot on it. By most facelift standards, we've done much more than anyone else would. So we've got 2 models. We've got the luxury model, as I call it, and we've got the R-Dynamic model, which is a more sporty, racy-looking car. 2 very distinctive styles to give you the choice of 2 very distinctive characters. And that's good, that's what people like. Some people like the more sedate one, the horizontal bar, other people like the one that looks more racy. On the R-Dynamic, which is the one we have here, we've got these lovely upturned blades that come at the front. And the reason for that is I like the way that the front wing, or the front fenders, as you guys call it, should wrap around the wheel and pull the corners as much as possible. And what that line does is emphasize that line, and that's why it's there. On the luxury one, the more sedate one, the line is horizontal to accentuate the width of the car. What we've also done is slim the headlamps up considerably. Now, you might not see it here in the showroom, but when you see them on the road, you will notice them if you're familiar with the old one. And the way we've been able to do that, of course, we've got the new technology, new LED technology. All lamps will be LED. The old BULB technology we don't use anymore. You've got to work that one out. And then the slimline grille, thank you. The slimline grille makes the car, again, look wider. So we try to emphasize the visual width of the car to give it more stature and more assertiveness. And I use the word assertiveness quite deliberately. Jaguar should never be aggressive. They're assertive. There is a difference. When we get to the side view of the car, obviously, the profiles stay the same. But it's a very special profile. You know, we work very hard to get a sportiness into our Jaguars because we are a sports car company. And if it means the profile of the roof has to be more coupe-like, then that's the way it has to be. And we have to work millimetre by millimetre to get that profile to work. And that's what the engineers and designers working together to create that very, very special look without sacrificing too much of the space inside. It's quite a demand, but what it does give us is a profile that looks more like a very sporty car. It's not just a three-box car, like so many of them out there. It has a true Jaguar silhouette, and that's what gives us excitement and presence. When you get to the rear of the car, again, we've changed the bumpers. We've accentuated the width of the bumpers with a graphic. And the biggest change, of course, the tail lamps. We've got the new tail lamps, slimmer tail lamps, again, always LED. And instead of the horizontal line that you've seen in the last generation of Jaguars with the roundel, which incidentally was inspired by the E-Type, we've now gone to the chicane line, which started off on the I-Pace and also on the E-Pace. And you'll see them following through this graphic, following through again on all our future cars. So we'll have the chicane line. I think chicane being quite an appropriate word, being terms for a racetrack. Thank you. A lot of people don't get that, but yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think it's good. So the chicane line, very much part of the graphic of our current family of Jaguars. So the exterior overall, some touches at the front, slimmer, wider, touches at the back, slimmer, wider, give the car more presence. And you really do see it on the road. But the big picture is the interior. We've completely redesigned the interior of this car because we felt perhaps the original car, if I can say this, we left it slightly short. And now we've given it a true Jaguar interior. We've touched every surface of the interior to make it better, more tactile, softer, more luxurious, authentic materials, of course. And we've given it the all-means that a Jaguar truly deserves. So the whole interior has been retouched in one way or another. We'll start off with the doors. We've given the doors a lot of sculpture. We've been working hard ergonomically to give it this what we call 360 grab handle, which will be our philosophy for the next generation of cars because they work better. You can pull the door open and shut better, and they're just ergonomically the right thing to do, rather than these pull cups that we had before. So a whole new design ethos for the doors, but again, the materials in the door, much higher levels of materials right through the door, all soft touch feel, no hard plastics, thank you. So real Jaguar materials. And of course you'll get your woods, metals and all that good stuff as well that goes with it. Authentic wood incidentally, real wood, not like some people put in their cars. Another thing of course is that we've looked very hard at the packaging. These are family cars, people use them. And to make sure we maximise the packaging of the car, we've really worked with the door trims and the various other aspects of the car to maximise the amount of space within the doors as well and everywhere else that we can. Now, of course, the big story is the technology. We've got a much wider screen in the centre of the car. The Jaguar's Touch Pro Geo system. Now, I'm often asked what's going to happen to the interiors of cars in the future. Are you going to put great big iPads in the middle where everything's functioned off one screen? Not if I can help it. I don't really believe in them, frankly, and I've been quite public about this. When you're driving a car at 80 or 90 miles an hour, and you can in some countries, legally, you don't want to be fiddling around an iPad looking where to move your door mirrors or your seat controls or anything else come to that, or even your heater controls or your air conditioning system. You need to be able to feel your way through the car without looking at it for more than a millisecond and work it. And to that end, we've got this dual screen system. We've got the upper one with the maximum information and the major information, and the lower one with the minor information, usually for heater control, climate control, AC, etc. And tactile rotary controls as well, which we've actually taken out of the I-Pace. Very, very important, I think, that we have these tactile controls, because when you're driving something mechanical like this, I think drivers want to feel that tactile feedback on the actual controls you're using. I certainly do. It makes me feel I'm part of something that's actually quite mechanical, not a touchscreen. We do have touchscreens, of course. They're there for other functions. And when you go to the middle of the driver's cockpit, we've got a 12-inch TFT screen in most of the cars, full-width TF screen to give you all the detail you would need at any given point, and a new steering wheel, which again you'll recognise has come almost directly out of our I-Pace. So we're taking that whole new generation that we developed for the electric car into our everyday cars as well. We've also changed the gear lever. You might have noticed that the old cars had the rotary control gear lever. Some of us felt that perhaps the stick shift, the sports shift as we call it, was probably more appropriate for this car. So all cars will be automatic now. They certainly weren't always automatic in Europe, but they're certainly all automatic now. Paddle change, which I think is very efficient. I know you guys like stick shifts.
Yes.
I know, but you know, I personally like the paddles. They're actually quicker than I can operate them, but it's a very personal thing. But there will be no more manual boxes in the car, and we will have the paddle change. But the sports shift lever. And then just finally in the interior, we've got this new thing called Clear Sight Interior View Mirror. This is quite fascinating. I drove the car in France last week over quite a few hundred miles, and I put it onto this digital display. And it's a digital display. The camera on the roof takes full wide-angle picture of what's happening behind you. You read it like a rear view mirror, but it's actually an LED screen. It's very, very quick, and it's very detailed. Yes, if you're over 55, and I'm well over 55, as you probably know, it's a little difficult at first to get your focus on it. But in city traffic, it's perfect. Because you're driving at speed, you can actually cope with that. You can see everything's happening around you, behind you, even with 3 people in the back. It's quite fascinating. Once you get used to using it, it really is something to have. I enjoyed it very much. So, that's really a new XE. It's a car very close to my heart because I love this size of car. It's a driver's car. I fell in love with Jaguar with the Mark II. This to me is a modern day Mark II, for those of you who remember back that far. And it really is a driver's car. The driver credentials are fabulous. They always have been. It's got the best driving platform chassis of any car in its class. And I'm prepared to put that into absolute terms. We've now made the interior it deserves to be. And we finished off the exterior with something which is much more dramatic than the previous car. So, when you get a chance to drive it, maybe some of you have already driven it, it's a fantastic car to drive. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.